every role that I played, every role that most of the people I know play, like 99% of all the roles written in Hollywood for like the last 100 years was from the perspective of a white male. Business is changing, things are changing, and that's where we're moving in the future. Is that's representation, is us telling stories from our perspective and being a part of the conversation in a different way than we've had been in the last 100 years.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Pop Culture Planet. I'm your host, Kristen Maldonado, TV film critic and champion for inclusion. Today we're speaking with the legendary Dante Basco about his brand new film, The Fabulous Filipino Brothers, that just premiered at South by Southwest. The Fabulous Filipino Brothers, you guys are real life brothers. What was it like working with your family on this film?
It was amazing. I mean, working with my family, they're all amazing. All my brothers and my sister and my parents are in the movie too, which is crazy. So, uh, you know, well, my brothers, they star in the film with me, and they're all great actors in their own right and have had great careers. This town has been very fortunate for me, and I've gotten a lot of great opportunities to play a lot of great roles. And you know how it is in Hollywood, you don't always get hired to do all the stuff you can do. And so in embarking on doing this film and writing this film with my family, we really crafted each role for each brother, like specifically for them. And like really, I want to give everyone a platform to kind of shine and do what they could do. And it was exciting to make that happen and see them do their thing. And then beyond that, like we've been in the industry for over 35 years together, studied acting together for over 20 years together. And so it has this weird feeling when we're shooting the film, and even when it came out yesterday, it was like everything that we've learned and everything we've done and every performance we from b-boying to acting to writing and producing and poetry, it's like all led us up to like doing this film right now. And it's great to have. That's a great feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, you can really see how much love went into this and, how much fun you guys are having together. I was really curious about the setup for this film. You kind of have it in like vignettes in a way where like, each brother gets their own moment to shine. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
how did you guys come up with that? And for you, what was it like directing this project?
I came up with the idea a few years ago because I've been thinking about these vignettes, and of course my brothers, and they all come from stories from our lives. It's part of our family history. Every story is fantastic or fabulous as each story is. It all kind of seated in the history of our family. So I kind of like had it in my mind for a while, and again, I wanted each brother kind of star in their own vignette. I was really inspired by, I'm a big Tarantino fan, and like Pulp Fiction and the calamity of Pulp Fiction and the vignettes of Pulp Fiction kind of inspired me. So that's how me and my brother Dorian first set out to kind of writing the first draft of the script, and then my brother Dion ECO came in and did some rewrites and some comedy punch-ups, and then my sister Ariana came in, and she came in and helped strengthen a lot of the women voices and brought some of the sometimes it's all about the boys, and we don't recognize the voice of the women as strong, and so it's great to have a female voice on the team to help kind of punch up those moments and stuff like that. But I mean that's kind of how it came about.
Since this is a project that's obviously very heavily inspired by you guys' own family and your own lives, were there any things that were really difficult to film or maybe really funny to film and kind of relive?
Yeah, I love directing these guys. It's my first time directing, so it is hard to act and direct. I've been an actor my whole life, and I've been producing now Asian American films for the last 10 years. And so it's a little, when I got on the set working and you're trying to act, and it's very hard, but it's great to have my brothers there to have my back and see and check my performance and bounce ideas off of. The great thing is when me and my brothers, we've acted together for our whole lives and danced together our whole lives. I've seen every performance these guys have done individually their whole life, and they've seen mine. So it's not like not me directing can say like I actually know this actor's every single, not just stuff they did on film and television, everything they've done in theater, everything they've done in acting class. So it really was like a shorthand. And when we wanted to get moments, we would just bring up things like when you did this during this play at this time, or when you were doing this scene in acting class and this moment happened, and we all got it. Like, that's what I want. And so there was a really beautiful kind of shorthand going there. But I mean, the fact is directing a movie is like a minor miracle. Everything has to come together. and it is hard. You pushing your brothers to do things sometimes out of their comfort zone, pushing me to do stuff out of my comfort zone, and then especially since it's like you said, a lot of things are based on personal stories in life. You know, some of the stories, some of the vignettes, especially the last vignette, touches on some really personal stuff in our family history, and you kind of want to walk around it with the utmost respect, and even that's going to go out to the world as it is fiction, but it also is going to go out there and it's going to bring up ghosts in the past of our family, and like being respectful for the people that story was inspired by, and try to do right by them also.
Now, one of the things that I love you brought up was that you've been producing Asian American projects over the last few years, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and why that is so important to you. I think especially now we've been seeing a huge movement with the Stop AAPI Hate movement, and I think that there's just a lot more recognition out there for Asian-led projects, and I'd love to just hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a wonderful time for as far as for Asian Americans projects in media and pop culture. We're really, at the highest profile we've been as Asians in pop culture in Hollywood since the birth of Hollywood, and it kind of awakened for me years ago. Over a decade ago now. I've been an actor my whole life in this industry. I've been an Asian American actor, a Filipino actor, which Filipinos, a very interesting piece of the Asian community because we're both Asian and Latino. So like the roles I've played is runs the gambit from every sort of Asian, from Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese to Mexican, Puerto Rican. Like it was like so. But when I kind of became an adult in the industry and I was doing Avatar: Last Airbender, uh, Mako, who played Uncle Iroh in the project, passed away, and Mako is one of the most prolific Asian American actors in our community. He was nominated for an Oscar with Sand Pebbles. He's such an illustrious career. He played my uncle or my father several times in my career, like four times in my career, including his last project, Avatar: Last Airbender. And he was a very special mentor to me. And he even created East West Players, which is the longest running theater company in the country of people of color, an Asian American theater company in Los Angeles. And I grew up in that theater also, doing plays, writing plays, and what he did part of his career was like paying it forward to the next generation, which was me. And when he passed away, I had this, like, it wasn't even him telling me. It's just like it was almost like that Uncle Iroh sage wisdom. Is like I understood that I'm part of that lineage now too, especially with Asian American actors. And you get to a place in your career where it's not just about you anymore and about your career. It's about creating things that are kind of will pay it forward, about setting up the next generation to do better than what we did in our generation. And that led me to, it was a different time. I didn't create a theater company, and I ended up creating a production company, and then I ended up going to Hawaii and working with filmmakers and being a part of this whole community of Asian, you know, content creators. And then I started a art collective called We on the Eighth with AJ Raphael. And we started celebrating Asian media the 8th of every month. We said, forget Asian American month. No one even knows when it actually is. No one celebrates. It's not like Black History Month where we all know it's February. And we set out. We did this thing for 4 years. We did a meeting the 8th day of every month and had talks and screened short films and had the conversation, which helped build up to things like Crazy Rich Asians, and having talked with John Chu about it, and having all these great speakers come and talk about uh, just who we are, where we are, and while the cats were scaling on the digital medias, we started doing these independent films, and everything kind of, it just made sense. Um, it didn't make sense. It's just I just had an urge as an artist to like put our voices out there, and I love where we're at now, and I know there's a lot more work to be done. And it also, you know, hurts my heart to see, we're at one level in pop culture, but then something else happens where we're at the highest level we are within racial attacks and just, bad will towards the community also. And I think, you know, we have a lot to work on as a community, as America, as the world, and part of it is continuing to tell our stories, continuing to get our stories out there from our own perspective, and people actually understanding we're more alike than we are different. So there's always the joy and the pain in things.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, you're talking about, your mentor. I mean, I think you've been a mentor for so many people. It's going to be 30 years of Hook. I feel like you were someone that, people saw growing up as like, representation. And now look at you creating projects and supporting other people. I think that that's an incredible thing to be able to see your journey.
As artists, one thing we were raised on, me and my brothers and my sister, was, you're supposed to go seek out a master, become a master, pass it on. Like that. I mean, it sounds so Avatar. It sounds so like kung fu film, but it's true. I mean, acting is almost like, a martial art. Like it's a style you learn. You go seek out masters. You try to learn from them. Hopefully, you become a master. And next thing in your job in the process is to pass it on to the next generation. That's part of our job. And so it is great. I've been able to work with, I really got inspired by meeting the next generation, AJ Raphael, Kev Jumba, these cats that were killing it on YouTube and helping to create vehicles for them, and being inspired by what they were doing as the world changed to digital media, but also saying, there's a lot still in the traditional media. Things haven't changed like acting. Things haven't changed like writing, directing, storytelling. And it's better to kind of work together and build bridges than to be bitter and feel resentment, because in a lot of ways, I talked to a lot of kids in college, a lot of drama school, a lot of film students, and I go, my generation thought we were going to inherit this town. And what happened is the world changed. The digital media age happened, and the world changed, and the keys, like your generation, like you guys own the town. Like, I guarantee you guys are going to graduate from these schools, do these things, create a platform, and guys and girls my age are going to be working for you off the bat. And it's crazy. It's beautiful though, but there's still bridges to be made in communication. There's so much to learn from each other still.
I think it's so incredible how passionate you are about this and spreading your story, and it's just so important to see those stories being told by people, of these backgrounds, so you get those authentic stories versus what people think our stories are like.
Yeah, that's the main thing, Kristen. It's like we're in an age of, I didn't grow up knowing I was an ethnic actor. I was a b-boy that came into town, and every audition was just another battle and trying to win, and that served me. And then you become an actor, and I'm just trying to keep my boat afloat in this industry, and it's been over 30 years now, and it's one of the hardest industries in the world. But I want people of color to realize and remember that it's hard, whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, straight, gay, male, female, anything. It's hard to survive in this industry. This industry is not set up for you to win. If it was, there'd be more people with success in this industry. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But at the same token, we're at a time when we talk a lot about representation, what is beautiful, but what is representation? Like, how do we even define that word? And I want to remind people that the way the system has worked until now, every role that I played, every role that most of the people I know play, like 99% of all the roles written in Hollywood for like the last 100 years, was from the perspective of a white male. Or perspective of a white male. 99% of these films, right, including characters I played, and it doesn't make them false. It doesn't make them racist. It makes them from a white male's perspective predominantly. As we're entering this new era of storytelling, of media, we have to have more stories told from our perspectives, from an Asian perspective, from a Latino perspective, like tell stories from our perspective. And consequently, we may have characters in those stories that may be white males, that white males may not take, but that's the conversation of art. The problem is, for the last 100 years, the conversation of art has been over leveraged from one community. So it's not racist. It's business is changing, things are changing, and that's where we're moving in the future. Is that's representation, is us telling stories from our perspective and being a part of the conversation in a different way than we've had been in the last 100 years.
Absolutely. Preach. I love it.
Just, things that we talk about and things and conversations I've had with other people that really have enlightened me and kind of goes on our path. And again, being my first film I directed, the Fabulous Filipino Brothers. It's really important that I'm repping also from let's not shy away from who we are. Let's not try to just blend into what it is. It is ultimately a universal story. When you go into it, I've had so many people from different communities, including white communities, Latino communities, Black communities, watch the film and they go, it reminds me of my family. Right. It reminds you of your family. The more we don't have to shy away from who we are. Our stories are universal. They are unique. There are unique and beautiful things about our people, about our food. But when you dive into it and the more intimate you get what you're doing, other groups can actually go, that's me too. Right. That's it. That's a human condition.
That is beautiful. I want to thank you so much for your time. I feel like I was in a master class right now. Like,
hey,
I love it. This has been so great. Is there anything else that you want to share about the film before I let you go?
No, I just, hope people enjoy it. I think of it as like, it's this little film with a lot of heart, and I feel like I'm sharing my family with the world. So it really was a love letter to my family and love letter to the community I grew up with in my hometown of Pittsburgh, California. So, just check out the film. Hope you enjoy it. And that's it,
It was so fun. You guys are hilarious together, but also, you have the heartfelt moments too.
The heartfelt moments, but I think there's some moments that people are like, damn, them Filipino boys are crazy. What are they doing?
You can find all of the information and links to Pop Culture Planet and our guests below. If you're interested in following the podcast, you can follow me pretty much everywhere at KMaldo or the show at Pop Cult Planet. You can also support the podcast with your very own Pop Culture Planet merch. We have sweaters, t-shirts, and stickers available at teespring.com/stores/KMaldo. You can catch new episodes every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. EST. You can listen to episodes on YouTube or on any of your favorite podcast listening platforms, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts and more. And if you enjoy the episodes, consider subscribing so you know when a new one's posted. Rate and review this podcast and share it with your fellow pop culture lovers. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast, and I'll talk to you next week. For more Pop Culture Planet, click right over here.